Welcome, Derek Rydall here, founder of the Law of Emergence and author of the best-selling books Emergence and the Abundance Project. And I want to welcome you to a celebration or Sunday celebration, or perhaps it's a Monday whenever you're listening to this or watching this. But I wanted to just take a moment to talk about how do we find peace when things are falling to pieces. And right now, a lot of things appear to be falling apart and falling to pieces. Economically, medically, government and politically, people are struggling, and a lot of people are suffering, and a lot of people are afraid, and a lot of things are uncertain. And by the way, for those of you that are watching, you can see in the background there's a unicorn in the pool, and that is my wife's office. So let's just say hashtag winning for her and for me. But peace in times when things are falling to pieces. And many of you know that I've recently, or some of you know anyways, that I've gone through a very tragic experience with the loss of my 24-year-old son not that long ago, a month or so ago, give or take. It's hard to tell what day we are in quarantine. It's not a Monday or Tuesday, it's like day 61, day 62. But it was it's beyond words, it's beyond imagination, it's beyond belief, it's a pain beyond what I've ever experienced, or all the pain I've ever experienced in my life combined, maybe. And I've said it's like having my soul ripped out through my heart, piece by piece, just torn apart and scattered to the wind. And so I don't want to diminish in any way the suffering and the pain. It's real. It's not real with a big R, but it's extremely difficult to be with. And many people are dealing with physical challenges or financial challenges, fears for their children and their family members. So what I'm about to talk about doesn't diminish that as human beings, we go through a lot of challenge and a lot of pain. And that pain and struggle and yes, even suffering is a part of the human condition and most likely always will be. And so the challenge is, first of all, accepting that. As the Buddha, story of the Buddha, a woman came to him with her child that had died and said, the Buddha had also been known to be a miracle worker, which we don't often hear about, and could heal people. And she said, please heal my child. And he asked her to go into the villages and go from house to house. And if you could come back and find 3 houses, get a grain of rice from every house that has not known suffering or where death has not touched. And if she could come back with 3 grains of rice, he would heal her child. And she came back with no grains of rice after a long, long search, and realized that death and suffering and real loss does not escape any of us. And she was so touched with compassion by the suffering of humanity, like Buddha, that she became one of his disciples. And this is an important thing for us to understand, that not only during the time of the quarantine, but always there's a lot of pain and suffering going on. It's in the air, it's in the energy, and we also go through suffering. And because we haven't learned how to be with our pain, because we haven't understood that the only thing our only fear is really a fear of feeling. Because to the limbic or reptilian brain, emotion is danger. It doesn't know the difference between physical danger and what we're feeling emotionally, the pain we're feeling. So we haven't really learned, first of all, how to be with the pain, how to be with the energy in motion or emotion. Instead, what we've learned is how to cope, how to push it down, how to repress it, how to anesthetize it, how to distract ourselves from it. Or in spiritual and religious terms, we've learned to put all of our hope in a future, pie in the sky, sweet by and by. Or we've learned to create affirmations to talk about how all is well and God is all there is and love is all there is, when really we don't actually believe it. It's been grabbed by the ego and is being used to push down where we really are. And if we don't meet ourselves where we really are, with love, with kindness, with seeking understanding, we become stuck at that point in our evolution. And that energy in motion is not moving, and it becomes stagnation. And that stagnation begins to block the channels of circulation, mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, financially, and our life begins to degrade. Our life begins to become more like a swamp than an oasis, where there's no more circulation. And so that's the first biggest problem, is that life can't flow through us. We can't evolve to the next moment. We're stuck. And that begins to stack up until then more triggers happen in a relationship or in the world, more pain, more suffering. And instead of responding to it with a level of pain or suffering that's 1% or 10%, it becomes 50% and 70%. Everything becomes really, really hard, really, really painful, because so many moments of grief or pain or struggle we have not met. We have not embraced and allowed the alchemical process to transmute that energy in motion, emotion, into new energy. To let the forest fire of deep grief or pain become the fire in which we forge our new capacities, our new character. Like the jack pine that I talk about so often, that needs a forest fire to crack open its seed pods and to open up the canopy and to fertilize the soil so that its species can continue to grow and evolve. So we put out the fires, or we act like they're not burning our house down, or we repress that energy in motion and it becomes stagnation, and we wonder why we have less capacity down the line. Less capacity to love, less capacity for joy, less capacity to listen, less capacity to care about others, less capacity to do our creative work, less capacity to live a deeper purpose. We just have a diminishing capacity. And then what do we have to do with that lower volume of life that's circulating? We have to find pseudo forms of life. Get busy. Workaholism, sexaholism, shopping, binge watching, surfing the internet, food, drugs. We have to find something else that gives us a sense of aliveness, because we've stagnated so much of our life force. Okay? So when things are falling to pieces, the first thing we have to do to find the deep peace is meet where we really are, meet what we're really feeling. Hold it and rock it like a baby in a nightmare if we can. But at the very least, begin to practice really being with the emotion. You can just close your eyes, you can feel where it's at, you can notice its shape, notice its feeling tone, does it have a temperature? And no longer seek to change it. No longer resist it. What you resist persists. What you fight, you fuel. When you are trying to fight or resist or ignore or deny or change your emotion, you've turned it into an enemy. And what did Jesus say? We must love our enemies. And where did he say the enemy was? In our own household. So we have to meet those places with us that are angry, that are enraged, that are terrified, that are grieved, and seek to simply witness them, give them their space, let them move through their process, feel our feelings fully, and we will gain a few things. As I said, the energy will begin to move again. Like during this incredibly tragic period of my life, the amount of energy moving through me could have destroyed me many times over. The grief, the sorrow, the agony. If I didn't allow myself to grieve, to scream, to wail, to feel it all, that energy would create serious problems in my life and in my system and in my body. And it would not allow me to become present for my other child or for my wife or for you guys at all. And you see that. People become deeply bitter. They become deeply broken. And their life just becomes a downward spiral, a failure pattern, because they didn't let life move through them. They think it's because of the situation, because of the loss, because of the economic problem, the money or the job or the child. No, it's because they didn't allow life to keep moving through them, because they didn't understand how to meet life, how to meet the medicine, as one of my dear friends Sierra would say, how to meet the medicine. And it feels like poison, But when you meet the poison in your system with love and compassion, you turn it into medicine. You turn it into the antidote for that kind of poison in your system for the future. You build up an immunal response to the pain, to the fear, to the doubt, to the worry, to the grief, so that you are able to hold more and more life. And the result is, when you meet it and hold it, is not you get more aggrieved or more in pain. It's that it moves through you, and it burns through you, and it burns away the dross and the things that no longer serve you. And it opens up the canopy of your consciousness to allow in more of the light of truth and being and love. It burns away the hard shell around your heart and cracks it open like the seed pods of the jack pine, and allows new life to be born through you. New life, more love, more awareness, more light, more insight. For most people, there's two ways to awaken and grow and become free and know peace and know joy. One is to live a life of deep practice, and I encourage you to do that, to want to wake up more than you want to change, fix, or control anything in your life. That desire to know the truth that makes me free, to wake up to the truth, to be an instrument in a channel of more life, more love, more truth, more than I want to change, fix, control, or manipulate anyone or anything, including myself. I encourage you to have that prayer and to live a life of practice where you are seeking first the kingdom of heaven, or seeking first the realization of nirvana, or the Tao, or the Atman, whatever metaphor of ultimate truth or reality works for you. But the other way that it happens, and unfortunately, or fortunately perhaps, for all of us, is through suffering. And that is the crisis. In the crisis, Christ is. In the crisis, God is. Life is seeking to be born through you. But it has to crack open the hard shells, the hard places in us. It has to melt the serotinous glue that we've used to shut and close our own concepts of ourself and life, so that they'll never ever change. So nobody can get to them. So nothing's going to change that. But it becomes like a hard shell, and it needs a fire to melt that glue. It needs a fire to crack open that shell, right? It needs something that's bigger and stronger than our ego's ability to control. And when that occurs, if you're willing to meet the medicine, I'm telling you what I know here, folks. More life, more love, more joy, more peace, more creativity, more wisdom, more, a deeper connection to life, to God, to eternal life, and ultimately a deeper connection to the peace that passes human understanding. Not the peace the world gives you. The I of my being, the Christ, the Atman, the nirvanic dimension of you, it brings a peace that has nothing to do with conditions. How is it possible that I'm here talking to you, joyful, powerful, inspired, on purpose, when my son just died? The love of my life, the light of my life, my precious boy. There is no human way that's possible. I really want you to understand. There's no amount of self-help or personal growth success strategies that get you there. And I'm not done, believe me. Every day there are waves of tremendous sorrow and grief and pain. But it's the practice of these principles, not self-help strategies, the practice of the principles of seeking first to and foremost to want to know the truth more than I want to change anything, to want to be an instrument of life and love more than I want to change anything, to seeking and building the capacity to hold those parts of me that are in pain, not try to fix them or change them. That's an act of violence. But to hold them, to hear them, to let them have a voice, whatever that voice may be. And also to seek support, to be held by others. That it's that practice, that desire and that intention and that practice that created the space for grace. For grace. Because at the end of the day, here's the truth. The only control we have, excuse me, is where we put our attention. That's it. You think you're moving around through the world doing all these things. You're moving around through your consciousness. You're moving around through your consciousness And where you put your attention, where attention goes, the energy flows. And according to your unique pattern, life emerges. So we only really have control over attention, intention, and attention. And so all the ultimate work we want to really become a master at is a master at what is our intention and where is our attention. If your intention is merely to manipulate deck chairs on the Titanic, the ship's still going to go down. If your intention is to wake up to the truth that makes you free, to know life in its more expanded sense, to know love, to be an instrument of more love, more truth, more beauty, more peace, now you've set the rudder of your ship in a direction that is in alignment with life, right? So if that's where you want your intention, you want an intention that is aligned with the infinite perfection of life. And then you want your attention right here, right now, meeting what's emerging with love, kindness, patience, and compassion. Seeking to understand. Because when you have a real understanding, you can now begin to have an inner standing, an inner resolve, an inner strength, an inner resilience, a soul stamina. You have an understanding that leads to an inner standing. And that now allows you to have an outer standing in a world that has fallen apart and not be moved. You get it? Because where you're anchored is inside, in the truth, in the peace that passes understanding. You're anchored in an inner standing so that you can stand in the world coming from life, from love, from power, from peace, from truth. And now guess what? You're not only unmoved by the storms, or if they knock you down, you get back up again because you're anchored in a deeper place, but now you become the light. Now you become the answer for all of those that you care about, those that you serve, and beyond. So how do we find peace when things fall to pieces? We seek first to set that intention, to set the intention to want to know the truth that makes us free, to want to see the face of God or love, to want to live and move and have our being in that inner realm of joy and peace and reality, more than we want to change, fix, control any condition. And then secondly, we begin to reclaim dominion over our attention by meeting what's arising with compassion and not trying to fix it. When you master those principles, watch how life begins to flow through you. Watch as you begin to have a peace even when emotionally you're in turmoil. You begin to have a peace even when conditions say you should be afraid. I hope this serves you. I'm going to do a prayer just to close this out since it is, we're having church. So just take a breath. If you're obviously, most of you are probably not driving. Just take a breath into your heart and release the past. Take another breath into your heart and let go of the future. And take one more breath in. And even release attachment to present conditions. And allow to emerge in you now your deepest heart's desire. Your deepest prayer for you, for your loved ones, for the world. Allow yourself permission to name and claim within you that you truly want to be, do, create, contribute, become. That you want for your beloveds and for the world. Let that arise in your awareness now and place it on the altar of this moment. As I throw myself open, my heart and soul open to the power and the presence and the love of God, this great power, this infinite presence that is beyond name, beyond time, beyond space, that had no beginning, has no ending, that is life itself and being infinite, There isn't any other life or presence or power besides it. There is no other power to compete or conflict or contend against. There's only the power of life itself, the power of love itself. One agenda, more life, life and life more abundantly, glory to greater glory, world without end. One agenda. I know the thoughts I think towards you, thoughts of good, not of evil, to give you an expected end. One agenda. If you keep your eyes stayed on me, I will keep you in perfect peace. If your eye is single, your body will be full of light. Seek first this inner kingdom, this inner realm, and all of your needs will be met abundantly. For you are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased, and all that I have is yours. This is what life is saying. All that I have is yours. All that I am, you are. All that is required is that you seek me, that you connect with me, that you plug into me, that you let go of your attachment and addiction to the forms of life, even thought forms, and you become addicted and invested in life itself, in love itself, in the infinite, invisible, ever emerging, ever expanding, unimaginable, glorious presence of life that I am. This I am in the midst of all of us is free. I am the truth. I'm not a seeking truth. And the more I live my truth, the more of my infinite truth emerges. I am the way. I am not seeking the way. And the more I honor my unique and true way, the more the way unfolds in the world. I am the meat and the wine and the water and the bread, the substance and the sustenance and the nourishment of life. And the more I nourish myself and express those qualities of my being, the more I'm fed, the more my thirst is quenched. I am the source and the substance of everything I could ever want, hope for, and desire. And the more I live as if this is so, the more I give and serve as if this is so, the more I take care of and hold myself as if this is so, the more I create the conditions for this inexhaustible abundance and power and wisdom of my being to emerge and blossom as a harvest and a bounty with so much that there's more left over to share and spare with everyone. I am. I am. I am. All of my needs are met on every level. Everything is working together for good on every level. I am speaking the word for every individual here and every individual they're connected to, knowing that whatever needs to unfold or be released or be transformed or transmuted for the full power and presence of life and love to have its way as them, for the destiny of greatness to become manifest, it's happening now. It's happening now. Right now, all of life is for us. And in this receptivity, it is unfolding in the body as health. Every cell, atom, organ, and function, bone, ligament, tendon, and tissue, revitalized, resurrected, restored. It is unfolding in the body of affairs as wealth, as opportunity, right relationship, right activity, as the full expression of divine work and purpose, and all needs met. It's unfolding as love and peace in the family, in the relationships, as deep healing of lineages and legacies and lifetimes. Oh, this is a mighty moment, a miraculous moment. We're in the miracle zone right now. Claim it for yourself. Claim it. Claim it. I am, I can, I will, I am able. I have, all of my needs are met abundantly. All of life is for me and is living and expressing through and as me right now. And anything that would have stood in the way was nothing but a false perception that had no power or substance, and it's dissolved and disintegrated in this holy instant. I am free. We are free. And miracles and signs follow this. I know it. It's done. I give thanks. And so it is. Share this with your friends and your loved ones. Listen to it again. to really embody it. Stay in touch, stay in tune. I love you. I appreciate you. We're in this together. And until next time, live authentically, love unconditionally, and follow your destiny.